a drop. Okay, I should be back now. I should be back now. No, it was me. It was 100% my side. I'll hold on. Everybody let me know when you get out of ad hell. And I'll hold up for 30 seconds here, just making sure everyone gets back. That was 100% me. My OBS dropped completely down to 0. That was me. That was on my end. I seem to be back now. Hopefully that won't affect the VOD too much. I should be okay now. So I've been told that you only need to have an approval rating of fair with Asterion in order to initiate a romance with him. That he will essentially initiate like romantic situations with you if you have a fair approval rating, and that it's easier to romance him, like to get him to approve of you in the second act. Otherwise, you need to basically never be nice to people, because every time you're nice to someone, Asterion hates it. So part of me is like, I should have gone for Gale, because Gale loves the fuck out of me, and Asterion doesn't. What's your question, Mr. Decat? We're gonna get on with the writing here in a minute, now that things are apparently working again. I promised I would say why I named this chapter Black Licorice Day. It's because I decided to start the opening of this weird-ass novel with days came in many flavors. Today's would best be described as black licorice, or star anise, her least favorite. And it's a theme that keeps popping up. So, heck yeah. Oops. Poking at my Fitbit the wrong way. Need to describe someone's appearance, but the only way I've managed to do it is to shove it into the start, which I do not like. That can be really difficult, especially if the person you're trying to describe is your narrator. I often try to sprinkle it in, so like, if my, like, say with my main character Domarin, if I was introducing him, riding his motorcycle, I might talk about, like, the wind in his hair or whatever. I might talk about the leather gloves that he's wearing on, you know, to squeeze the handlebars, stuff like that. If you're describing a character that's being looked at by the narrator, it's much easier because you can have them give that character a once-over. But it can be really hard because you don't necessarily want to have your character stop in front of a mirror and describe them, because that can be awkward too. So just look for little ways. Look for little ways that you can fit it in. If other people are wearing the same uniform, you can describe the uniform being worn by someone else and use a line like, they were wearing the same uniform we all wear, or the same uniform that everyone wears, or whatever. And that would give you a better chance to describe the uniform without it feeling awkward. But that can be really difficult to figure out where to get descriptions in. I always forget to do them on my first draft, and I always go back and add them on my second. I don't play Baldur's Gate. Yeah, Baldur's Gate is fun, but it's a lot. You are not stupid at all, Mr. Decat. It is a real struggle that all writers have. And I have often found myself like, how do I describe this without it sounding completely awkward, or like it's just shoved in there? And like I said, I often do it on my second drafts and not on my first drafts, because I often just forget to do it the first time. So you're not stupid at all. Exiled Fae had a good... Uh-oh. I'm now live again. Exiled Fae had a good suggestion as well. to describe them putting it on, if that's an option, if it goes that far back. Oh, well, this is gonna be a 2-part VOD. That's fine. Shit happens. Alright, I am gonna get in. What was that duck doing? I don't know. Which duck? Which duck? What did it look like? I find it easier to make what I'm describing do something. Yeah. Don't want to start it like that. I kind of want to go for more interesting backstory. Yeah, no. I mean, obviously don't necessarily change the start of the story to fit the description in. Just look for a place where you can put the description that feels natural. It was spinning against the side. If it was the Afro duck, it was probably close to the disco ball. If it was this one, it was probably near the disco ball. Because when the Afro duck gets near the disco ball, it was spinning the other way. I don't know. Maybe it got blown up by the holy hand grenade. If it was the bee duck, it might have been near the flower duck. Oh, it was against the slide and the water was making it go spinny. I see, I see. It might have just gotten stuck. Alright, let's do 30 minutes. I have 30 minutes to describe this man's day devolving. Spinning vertically like a log. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was probably glitching then. One of the Russian nesting... Possibly because the Russian nesting dolls are smaller. 2 of them are smaller, so they might have... It might have gotten stuck. Some of the ducks are supposed to spin under certain circumstances. I just realized that once I get a job, I won't be able to hang out. No! Exiled Fate! That's not true. You might still be able to hang out. Maybe you'll get another work from home job. Maybe you'll be able to watch me in your office. That's true if you're training. That's true. But I'm sure we will find times to hang out. It will happen. I'm hoping to increase the amount of time I stream instead of decreasing it, so... I know we're only doing 2 streams a week right now, but that's not forever. I also do want to do at least one long stream a month, so like a full day stream, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. use the idea of putting it on, but put it further back and start with backstory. Hey, it's hard sometimes to think of these types of things when you have so many things in your head. It takes there's so many things to juggle and balance when you're writing any kind of story. It happens. I have definitely had that oh duh moment before when I'm talking to other people. That's why talking it out is so helpful. Sneeze. Sorry, I hope that didn't peak the mic. I was too caught up with setting and world building. Hey, it happens, right? Like, that's why it can take several passes. Thank you, Blur. That's why it can take several passes to get all the details in there. You should never feel bad if it takes a couple of passes to get all the details in there. Because there's so much to manage, you're never going to remember it all the first time. Even with practice, like, you learn to sort of build things in layers. Because there's just too much to track otherwise. pause after the sneeze. I wanted to mention I didn't complete my nano reading challenge, had a bit of a lazy month, but I promised myself this year I'd read one classic each month. January was The Wizard of Oz, and February is going to be Dracula. I am currently reading Dracula right now. Just be aware it's quite long. However, I've been getting into poetry recently, and I finished both the Wilfred Owen anthology and Ariel anthology by Sylvia Plath, meaning I've done 3 of 12 of my challenge. I mentioned this as it means I'll have more free time to read other books, as I convince myself I cannot afford to buy anymore. Hey, the nice thing is, if you're getting them for Kindle, you can get a lot of the classics on Amazon for free, because they're all in public domain. I read Frankenstein, another one that you can get for free, classic you can get for free on Amazon because it is in the public domain. And I am currently finishing up Dracula. Peter, you would win in a fight against Dracula. I am convinced. At least the Dracula in the original book. And hey, my friend, how are you? Sleepy but okay. I had a bit of a morning, Peter, but I'm doing okay. We're getting this novel, this prompt novel written. I have an app which gives me the classics free, but I buy most of them IRL if I can. I have the Odyssey, Inferno, and William Wordsworth anthology. Nice. Do you have the full trilogy? Inferno, Paradiso, and what's the middle one? Purgatorio, I think. I have the Pocket Dante, so I read all 3 of them in there. Old-timey boxy style, getting Dracula in a haymaker. You would win, Peter. I'm confident. The year of books for me. I'm gonna read as much of my TBR as I physically can. Nice. Good luck. Also, you can get the Kindle app for any electronic device. You can get it on an iPad. You can get it on your phone. If you really want access to Kindle books and you don't have a Kindle or can't afford a Kindle, you can just use the Kindle app. You did miss the morning story time. I can do a quick recap during the next break. Yeah, Neo got yeeted and Nyx got yeeted too. So all of our burning ducks are like out of the pool. God, I can't spell suspicious. Alright, so during that sprint, wrote another 1,430 words for a total of 2,692. I think I'm quite close to the end of this scene, but I am going to take a quick break here to get up, move around, use the restroom. We'll have a little bit of chatty time when I get back, and then I think I'll do a 15-minute sprint to wrap this up, because at that point we'll be getting into a lunchtime territory. Look at all these ducks waiting to get back up into the big pool. Let me pause them quickly. I am making a scene conquest, and it's quite a spectacular one. Also, hello. In dialogue, if the character is talking about Mr. Campos or whatever, do you write it out Mr. Campos or just do Mr.? Either is acceptable. I like to write it out fully, but you can do the shortened version if you like. Both are correct. I shall be right back. My Fitbit's gonna yell at me in a second, so I will be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. My Fitbit is set to remind me to move around every hour, and I hadn't moved around during the last hour. So give me a second here to catch up on chat. Thank you, Blur. How's it going? Are you arting today? Need to finish Othello. I have a few more Shakespeare plays I want to read. Calling it the year of books for me. Nice. I have a complete works of Shakespeare that I need to start working my way through at some point. But the Penguins Hardback Classics Edition, and they don't have the other two. I'm assuming that's in response to the Inferno and the Purgatorio. The Purgatorio and the Paradiso. You can find them online. Highly recommend reading them. It gives quite a bit more depth to the Inferno if you read the other two. They're not as interesting. The Inferno is the best one, which I think is why everyone is familiar with Dante's Inferno and less familiar with the rest of the Divine Comedy. But it's very interesting if you read all the way through and get to Beatrice. I interviewed Frank Skinner a few years ago, and during his sound check, which is normally things like what did you have for breakfast and whatnot to get levels right, Frank Fullen quoted Wordsworth to me verbatim from memory. One of my most treasured pieces of audio. That's amazing. Been buying way too many hardbacks recently, but Pretty Covers and Waterstones gives me a free stamp every 10 pounds spent. 10 stamps equals a free 10 pounds book. Nice. If I keep spending, I can afford free hardbacks or discounted hardbacks. That's nice. See, I like it when bookstores do that. I always used to do that at the bookstore where I grew up. I know I answered this in text, but with Mr. and Mrs., you and all those, like, Madame, Monsieur, all those things, you can write them all the way out, or you can use the abbreviation. The abbreviation is fine even in dialogue, because that's how it's written out. To me, it always looks wrong, so I always write it out. I always write out Mr. and Mrs., even when it's not in dialogue. But you can use the abbreviation in dialogue. It's perfectly fine. Always making a scene wherever I go. Heck yeah. I might be AFK, but I never waste an opportunity for browse. Separation anxiety tried to strike. Oh no! Well, I hope you stop getting interrupted, Blur, so that you can get your art in. If you say so, I will need to 100% get the other two. I suppose I don't need the pretty hardback. Yeah, I mean, you probably... The thing is, I've read the Inferno like 3 or 4 times, and I've only ever read the other two once. I definitely think they're worth reading. Like, it's worth, looking at them and experiencing them once. But the Inferno is, like, the big one. You could 100%, you wouldn't even need to, like, download it from, like, a store. Like, if you Google Divine Comedy, you can just read it all online. Sometimes with footnotes and everything. Hang on. It's on Project Gutenberg. So, there you go. This one's probably a bit rougher because it's probably an older translation and it won't have the footnotes, but you can definitely read them. For sure. Highly recommend it. I wrote an entire fantasy book based on, inspired by Dante's Inferno, so it's a huge thing for me. Would fight the Inferno, but maybe not Dante himself. Poor guy goes through a lot, so maybe he needs a bit of a break. I appreciate that. What about Virgil, though? I'm not saying I won't fight him. He should definitely keep his head on a swivel. What about Virgil, Peter? Also, Peter, to catch you up on what you missed this morning, basically, Ghost Pepper and I bought a fancy, expensive rug while we were in Turkey, and the shipping process has not been going smoothly. They called me yesterday to be like, we can't ship to your house for some bizarre reason. Can we ship your rug to this random other guy? No, I don't know that random other guy. You can ship it to the FedEx facility. Okay, cool. It was supposed to be fully paid for, taxes, import fees, all that. And then I got a call this morning prior to coffee where they were basically like, you owe $100 import fee on this thing. And I was like, that was supposed to be paid for, but it wasn't. So I can't call the rug place because the only phone number they have is Turkey, and it was like 3 a.m. at the time. So I sent them an email and I was like, yo, I'm getting told that I need to pay for this and you're supposed to pay for it. Thanks, bye. And now we wait. And we're probably just gonna have to pay for it and then hope we can get paid back. But it's just, what I wanted was a nice, expensive rug delivered to me hassle-free, and what I'm getting is not that. And I have only myself to blame because I was the one who wanted this rug. It's 100% my fault. Well, not 100%, because I didn't mess up the shipping, but it's like 85% my fault. Virgil will 100% get a good duffing up. He acts too good. I think there's something not quite right about him, so Virgil absolutely getting his shorts on and his old-timey mustache. Listen, I feel like Virgil gets really screwed in Dante's Inferno. Spoilers for, like, an ancient book. But Virgil is in the part of hell that's like the outskirts of hell. So basically the way like Dante's like cosmology is set up is that when you approach the underworld, there's like the river Styx, which is where the boatman is, Charon the boatman, and he takes the people across the river into the land of the dead. And essentially, anybody who is who died before the time of Jesus is unable to get to heaven because they all didn't have, because Dante is Christian, so they did not have the saving of Jesus. They were not able to hear the good word and be saved and go to heaven. So they don't go to hell. They don't actually like go into hell. There's like this part of the underworld that's like outside of hell. It's not nice. It's not the pleasant place. But it's like basically you can't get across the river Styx if you weren't from the time of Jesus. And so because Virgil is pagan, he can essentially not enter the afterlife. And so all of the great thinkers and all of the philosophers and all of the people from Greek and Roman times who were pre-Christian, they basically have this like colony in essentially I think sometimes it's referred to as limbo, but it's like pre the entrance to the afterworld. To the afterlife, and they're just stuck there for eternity. So Virgil's like this super great dude, this super nice, super like highly respected, super amazing guy, can't get into heaven because he's pagan. It's super shitty. But yeah, so one of the interesting things about Dante's Inferno is it gives you a really clear view of what people's religious beliefs were at the time. And a lot of the Paradiso, a lot of the Divine Comedy in general, but a lot of the Divine Comedy is Dante essentially criticizing the current leadership of Venice because they kicked him out. And he's like, but they're all corrupt. And then there's that very famous line from the Inferno, like, all the cathedrals are empty and all the bishops are here. What are you guys' thoughts on the fact that there was originally a sequel to the Odyssey, Lost to History? That sucks. A lot of really amazing works were lost in the fire of Alexandria. What we actually have is the garbage. What we actually have is what they threw out and didn't consider worth keeping. What they considered worth keeping was burned. It's tragic. There's probably a great deal of missing literature from history that we just don't have copies of. I always assumed it was like Purgatory or Limbo. So Purgatory, I think it's Limbo, because Purgatory... So the way the Divine Comedy is written is there's the Inferno, the Purgatorio, and the Paradiso. Inferno is hell, Purgatorio is purgatory, which is in between, and then Paradiso is heaven. You pass through purgatory to get to heaven if you don't get into heaven by default. I don't think that's a spoiler. That's how the cosmology works. Recently, the Catholic Church has decided that limbo, or that purgatory, no longer exists. They got rid of it. They deleted it from the divine cosmology. But in Dante's time, it was a thing. So I'm gonna stop talking now because I could literally talk about the Divine Comedy for hours. I have studied it in intricate detail. I wrote an entire book that was inspired by Dante's work, and I find it absolutely fascinating. Divine Comedy stream when? You know what? Maybe we'll do a community channel points redeemed to unlock Megan talks about the Divine Comedy for 4 hours. Also, why? How are you? How are you doing? We're gonna do our last sprint. Final sprint. And I'm gonna try for a 15-minute one because I don't think I need the full half hour to finish this. And we're gonna finish off. It's gonna say time for words at the end. Just ignore that. But I'm gonna finish this off. This Black Licorice Day chapter. Working. I hope work is going well. Hey, if you guys genuinely want to hear me just yak on about the Divine Comedy for like 3 hours, maybe we can do that someday. Need to move my meat sack. Exile Pay, thank you so much for hanging out. Please take care of that meat sack that you are driving. It is what's gonna get you. It's what's gonna carry you through. Thank you for hanging out. It's always good to see you. Let's get you all one more dose of clicky clacks. 15 minutes of clicky clacks. Let's do it. There's just fire happening in that pool up there? What the hell? Just read this on Wikipedia. Only 2 lines of the poem's original text survive. For its storyline, we are dependent primarily on the summary of the Telegonus myth in the of one Proclus. I have never heard of it before, but yeah, it is sad that we have lost a lot of history and literature has been lost to time, sadly. We learned that from watching Time Team, actually, that a lot of what archaeologists find is actually in the garbage pile, because the way that we have gotten rid of garbage for hundreds of thousands of years is burying it in the ground where it gets preserved. So we have, you know, anything that didn't survive through the ages to be passed on in some form, we find in the garbage heap. Humans love piles. Apparently we love burying shit in the ground. Because we just assume that once it's buried in the ground, it's gone and we don't have to deal with it anymore. It interests me that what they thought was garbage we find classics and literary accomplishments. Yeah, but we don't have the stuff that they considered classics, right? So we don't know. We don't know if it's crap. But that interests me too. Like, what we treasure as, you know, the jewels of our past. At some point in the past, someone else might have been like, that's drivel. Throw it down the garbage chute. We do that with our bodies. That's why I'm getting cremated, man. We've discovered the cure for immortality. That sounds like a really good premise for a story. Is like someone is researching into immortality and then they eventually find out it was just a massive prank. Alright, I finished the scene. Heck yeah. So that was just an extra 657 words, which brings our total to 3,349 for the first chapter of our prompt novel titled, the chapter title, no title for the whole thing yet, but titled Black Licorice Day. Super excited. Mr. Pepper is at work, so I don't think he'll be responding to that summons. Like a murder mystery, but make it immortality. Yeah. Finding clues linking to ancient details. Yeah, and they think they're finding like some ancient ritual of immortality, and then it's just a giant prank. What if you time traveled 2,000 years into the future and discovered that you somehow a religion had been built around your characters? My characters would be upset about that. The Domranites would be engaged in a holy war with Harry Potter, who has also become a major religion. The Domran part of my brain is horrified by that idea. There might actually be at least one multiverse where someone bases a religion on him and he hates it. If we could time travel, how many people would use modern technology to save things like the Great Library of Alexandria versus the amount of people who'd use it for selfish gain? I personally would love to be able to go back and read from the Great Library of Alexandria because I think that would be amazing. But what if everything that they thought was really good was actually just horrible? What if they threw out the good stuff and kept the gross stuff? It's like in our day, everyone's like, here's this really mindless... It's okay. I'm gonna use an example. Some of you might hate it. It's like when people were like, oh, Thor Ragnarok was the best one in the series, and it's actually the worst one. It's actually the most empty-headed, most inane, most brainless one. The writing is actually horrible compared to the rest of the series. What if it's like that? What if they were like, oh, this mindless drivel is all the best stuff, and they threw out all the good stuff. And now we're like, oh, look at these classics that they just threw out into the garbage pile. But if we went back to the library at Alexandria, it's all just like 50 Shades of Grey. It's all like the 50 Shades of Grey of ancient literature. Everyone's like, Jesus, never heard of him. However, can I offer you a sassy fuck off in keeping with our grumpiest boy? Aw, Peter. It would be the darkest timeline, though. If we all go back in time for the lottery numbers, does everyone win or nobody win? We'd have to each take a different day, right? I love it when I find a song that perfectly fits my story. Heck yeah, me too. I'd love to know how much of our history is tainted by personal opinions. Pretty much all of it, probably. Pretty much all of it. History is written by the victors. 100% of history is tainted by personal opinions. Saying history is written by the victors is absolutely true, yeah. Yeah, if Ghost Pepper was here, he would talk about historical bias. Here's Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, enjoy. Yeah, exactly. What if all of the stuff at Alexandria was actually the Paul Blart Mall Cop 2s? Finished a sketch for the animation I'm doing. Heck yeah! Yeah, I really liked the first two Thor movies. Ragnarok was garbage, and then Thor Love and Thunder was also garbage, but like they embraced the garbage, and that somehow made it better, so I really enjoyed it. But Ragnarok was the worst. Asterisk, I am not a Marvel movie fan, so anyone who's like an ultra Marvel person who's like, what is she talking about? She's totally off her rocker. I'm not a Marvel movie person, so take what I say with a grain of salt. What is the ancient equivalent of 50 Shades of Grey? I mean... 50 Shades of Puce. The lottery people must live in fear of time travel being invented. Listen, I'm pretty sure if time travel is ever invented, we won't know how screwed we are until the world has already ended. So at least there's that. Yeah, that's gonna probably be it for me today, guys. I'm gonna go get some lunch. I'm really happy with how this prompt novel is going so far, although we are still in the easy phase. I think it's gonna get harder as we go on. So I've set up some bases for myself. I've set up the two main characters. I've set up some side characters. I've implied some stuff going on in the background. I've begun the hook, the situation. So we'll see if I can pull that through and weave it into the next prompt and the next one and so on. If we ever did invent time travel, wouldn't we already know it? Maybe we wouldn't. If someone went back in time... It depends on how time actually works, right? If time works the way it works in Back to the Future, where history has changed, you wouldn't know that your history was changed. It would just have always been that way for you. Also, if it works the way it worked in Star Trek when they made the new Star Trek series and it splinters off into an offshoot, you still also wouldn't know that it happened unless someone from the alternate timeline told you that it happened. So would you know? I'm a Marvel movie fan and everyone has their own opinions. Exactly. My opinions are my own. Your results may vary. Let's see who is streaming that we can go drop in on. This is unfortunately going to be my last stream of the week. I got a lot going on this week and next week and possibly the week after that. So we're just doing 2 streams for the time being until I clear a couple of things from my queue at the beginning of the year, and then we'll hopefully be doing 3 streams more regularly. Next week, I'm going to be finishing up the Arvalia Chronicles. We're going to be writing the last 3 scenes in that entire series. Possibly not on stream, but that is going to be happening. My mind is blown. It sank in for me last night that was actually happening, that the series is about to be finished. So that's happening. And we're going to finish hopefully finish on stream the Arvalia Chronicles map. That's going to go in the book when it gets published, when the first book gets published. Oh my goodness, there are like no writers streaming right now. What is this writerless streaming world that I'm looking at right now? I do not see any writers who are online. Let's search writers, maybe? Let's go look at the writers, let's look at the writers area and see if there's anybody we can drop in on. I'm assuming it'd work like the universe. Yeah, maybe some people would already be aware of it. I don't know. Time travel would make everything weird. I like to think it splinters off into separate universes, like that every action has an equal and opposite reaction theory. Same. Words have become too expensive. Yeah, let's see. I'm sometimes really nervous about just dropping in on random people that I don't necessarily recognize. Because I obviously want to find someone who's like sweet and nice. In this house we're shy. Yeah, I mean, I do like meeting new people, but I'm always a little bit like, I don't want to take you guys somewhere that's gonna be not wholesome, you know? I know we've rated Joe before, but you know. But let's see. Let's drop in on this person. They look like they have a nice cozy area. They look like they're doing some writing. They look like they've got some Pomo stuff going on. So let's try this out. If you have my emotes, please feel free to use them. Otherwise, use any emotes that make you happy, because it's all about spreading the love. I'm gonna go get some lunch, and I will be lurking around in the background, even though I'm not streaming anymore this week. I've been trying to make my rounds because I've been away on Twitch a lot, so I've been trying to lurk in people's chats. Sometimes I announce myself, sometimes I don't. But I've been trying to hang out with people, say hey, catch up with the people that I've not been able to chat with for a while. I will be on Woof's channel. It's Woof's channel on Saturday night, 8 p.m. PST for more. I'll be playing Coffee Talk. I'm not sure what he'll be playing, but we'll find out. So if you want to see me then, you can catch me there. And like I said, I'll be around. Thank you all for hanging out with me, for taking this weird, wild, prompt novel journey with me. And I hope to see you all again next week. Keep an eye on the Discord for the schedule. I'll probably be trying to do Wednesday and Thursday again next week, but we'll see how things go. And until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of this meat sack you're driving. Eat, sleep, hydrate, and I hope the creativity flows for you.